Hi there, good morning over here. Okay, so welcome back to another midweek market analysis. Okay, so as usual, we'll run through starting with the dollar index to update you guys on what has happened throughout the week. So first up here, dollar index is currently still testing the 100% to 123.6 area. And of course, we can also see that the price is currently still respecting this channel structure. So for me right now, the primary kind of forecast is still looking for bearish bias. But of course, if let's say the price for the next 1 or 2 days is able to break through this impulsively, then we'll start to rotate into more of a bullish perspective. Okay, but for now, as long as we get a decent rejection down, or if this just turns out into a crawl structure, we're still going to maintain a bearish bias and expect more downside for the dollar from here on. Right, so that's on the DXY side of things. Then we do have the euro dollar. Okay, so euro dollar right now is developing potentially a simple 1 2 3 structure after an impulsive move and a breakout of this structure at the top, right? So right now we're maintaining a bearish bias, and of course if we can get a decent pullback somewhere towards 1.0915 or 1.0930, that will give us a decent opportunity to look for a sell. And of course the clear invalidation level will be at this recent high at 1.1006 area, 1.1010 area. Okay, as long as price is able to maintain below this low, any kind of corrective pullback, even if it pulls back a little bit deeper, we'll still look for opportunity to sell, since this structure overall in euro dollar is a little bit clearer. So that's something that is contradicting, because usually the dollar index and the euro dollar is kind of inverse in terms of relationship. But for this year so far, we're seeing it's kind of like euro dollar is clearer to the downside. Dollar index is a little bit on the kind of deciding factor. Okay, so I would say probably don't need to be overly concerned in terms of the correlation aspect, but we'll just trade what the chart is telling us. And right now euro dollar is presenting a pretty decent sell opportunity, right? Now if you go over to pound dollar, quite similar here as well. Market is developing a potential 1 2 3 somewhere around the area of 1.257 and 1.2590. Will give us a potential sell. Of course, we do have a little bit of a confluence in terms of structure here as well, and as long as market maintains below this high at 1.2680, will remain bearish on this. Okay, so euro and the pound is presenting a pretty clear sell opportunity. Again, this two is quite closely correlated as well, and we're getting both in the same direction. So if you're interested in trading both, just make sure you're aware of your total risk exposure on that. Okay, so I think euro and pound is definitely one of the clearer setups going into the remaining part of this week. Now, next up we have Aussie. Aussie dollar here is also developing a three-wave move. But for me, I think the euro and the pound would probably present a bigger opportunity to the downside, because Aussie over here, we may also get a sell opportunity. However, we may see some kind of support at the bottom of the channel. So of course, you can also consider focusing on Aussie to look for a sell opportunity. But for me, because we have three setups, quite similar, I would rather focus personally on euro and a pound, and then Aussie over here will probably just leave it. Okay, but of course, if you're interested, if you can get a pullback, towards like 6715, 6730, this area here will be a good sell opportunity with the stops, above the previous high at 8615. Right, so the majors are quite clear in terms of euro, pound, and Aussie. Now going down to dollar Canadian, we did get a nice little rejection of that 618. So for now, we're expecting a little bit more downside as long as price maintains below this level here at 1.3568. We can expect a little bit more downside, potential target at 1.3215 to 1.3130. Okay, so quite clear. Any sell opportunity you can get on dollar CAD, you can definitely consider looking at that. Okay. Next we have the dollar yen. Now dollar yen is currently testing that 123 extension. Not the most ideal kind of setup. But personally, I do have a sell trade opportunity. I do have a sell trade running right now. And of course, the stop here ideally will be above this, right? So as long as price is still respecting this high, if even if you get a little bit more push to the upside and this development to a crawl, I think that's still pretty decent for an opportunity to the downside. If you're not in any of the sell here in dollar yen, then my suggestion is you may want to go down to a lower time frame and maybe wait for some kind of a breakout. Okay, so maybe on the lower time frame, you might get something like that, right? Then you have a breakout point here, so this can be a potential double topish formation if you get a break below the neckline. That can be a trigger. Okay, and of course, depending on how aggressive you are, you can even use like tiny low over here. Okay, so overall, we're gonna be monitoring this quite closely, because if you don't get a decent rejection here soon, what can happen is this may continue to just go back up, retest the top, and then the structure may have changed. Okay, so right now, we're still bearish, but we're gonna keep an eye on it. We may rotate our directional bias depending on how price develops in the next couple of days. XAU USD, so gold actually broke off this low yesterday. Initially we were expecting a very simple flat structure and then we look for sell. But the break yesterday seems to suggest that this may just turn into a simple WXY. And of course, any decent kind of pullback here, maybe retest the structure area would be a good opportunity for you to look for short-term sell. Towards the target around 1970 to 1950, and of course, as long as price maintain below 2048, we can still expect a little bit more downside. Okay, and once we tag this area, I'm expecting a decent bounce. So any sell trade on gold would be seen as a short-term opportunity. Okay, crude oil update here, not much. We're basically still waiting for a little bit more pullback towards 687 to 67.5. And if we can get that, then we have a simple 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then we'll look for upside from there on. Okay, so this one maybe, just keep an eye. The opportunity may come maybe by end of this week or even early next week. S&P index, right? So we're still consolidating since the start of the week. So right now we're expecting a bit more drop towards 4090 area. If we can get a corrective pullback towards there, that will present us a decent buy trade opportunity with the target around 4300. Okay, so this is a very clear, simple 1, 2, 3, right? Impulse correction, and then we'll expect another move up. Last one over here on BTC, right? So BTC is also developing a decent corrective move as of now. So we have a tiny bit of an impulse right now. This seems corrective in nature. So any kind of decent pullback towards 26810 to 26590, around that 58618, we'll be interested in the buy. And of course, price needs to maintain above this low at 25850. For us to hold a bullish bias. Okay, if price breaks that, then the entire piece of structure here needs to be reanalyzed. Okay, so I think in kind of like summarized version, I think there are a couple of different opportunities that are presenting to us this week, going into next week as well. So do be focused, right, and do look out for all the setups that may come to you within this week to next week. Right, so that's all from me for today's video over here. All the best to trading, and I'll see you guys in the next one.